This woman was arrested for the dumbest reason imaginable. The cops made a major boo-boo, and they really didn't know what they were doing. And this story just took the media by storm. But it's like they really didn't even read the story. Because I found something that when you realize it and hone in on this key detail, it changes the entire story. Imagine you're sitting in your car, minding your own business, eating your lunch. And then the cops pull up and they start harassing you. And all you're doing is eating your lunch. And what's for lunch? Well, you decided to eat something, something simple, something quick. So you run into the grocery store and you get classic SpaghettiOs, a little Chef Boyardee. Nothing says high quality like a true chef. Chef Boyardee SpaghettiOs, that's about as good as it gets. And then just like that, SpaghettiOs. The cops, they don't believe your story. You're not sitting in here eating your lunch. You're on drugs. So they snatch you up and they arrest you. And they say, you tested positive for drugs. But all you were doing was eating your Chef Boyardee, minding your own business in the car. That's basically what happened, but not quite. There's a twist in this tale. This is Ashley Gabrielle Huff. She's 23 years old and she's hanging out with her friends. She's in the car. There's 3 other people in the car. Ashley is in the back seat and one of her friends is in the front seat. They're driving and they get pulled over. For what? An expired tag. You know the police, they can look that up before you're not even pulled over, and they can just look up your tags are expired. They pull her over, okay? So the cop gets out the car and he goes up to the driver's side and he starts talking to the driver. And he's noticing that the driver is looking real nervous when he's questioning her. And Ashley, she's looking real nervous too. So the cops, of course, they get suspicious and they're like, what exactly are you guys doing in here? They say, we're going to our friend's house, because that's what they were doing. And of course, it is a crime to drive with your tag expired. So the cops continue to question them and they continue to, notice how these girls and people are looking real nervous, more nervous than they should be for a simple traffic stop. So they say, hey, if you're not hiding anything, is it okay if we search your car? Since we know you're innocent, but it's okay if we search your car just to be sure. And the driver, he gives consent and he says, yeah, sure, you can search the car because I have nothing to hide. Ashley in the back seat, again, she's looking a little bit nervous, at least according to the police report. So the cops, they search the car and they don't find this item on her, but they find it near her. And if it's near you in the car, it's typically as good as possession. What they find is a pink bag. And on that pink plastic bag is Ashley's name. It literally has her name on it. So of course it's hers. And inside of that bag, they find a black bag. And inside of that black bag, they find a spoon. They pull the spoon out, and what's on it? There's some type of residue. Now, according to the police report, they say there's a crystal substance on the spoon. And judging on the fact that these kids are very nervous, and they found a spoon with a crystalline substance on it, of course, they run a test. Right? They got the field test. They can do it right there on the spot. They run a field test on the spoon, the residue on the spoon. And they find out that it tests positive for methamphetamine. Meth. They found meth on a spoon. But Ashley, she's bewildered. She's like, no. She insists this spoon has no meth on it. There's no drugs on this spoon. This spoon I was using to eat my SpaghettiOs for lunch today. She was eating her SpaghettiOs with this spoon, and the residue on the spoon was just dried up SpaghettiOs sauce. Okay? Does that make sense? The cop said crystalline substance, It tests positive for meth, but she says it's just SpaghettiOs. Now, of course, the cops, they ran a test. They already got him for an expired tag. They already know that they're acting super nervous. And now they find this spoon. It's got her name on the bag, so they know it's hers. She can't deny it. And they tested positive for meth. They ran the field test. Evidence is stacking up, and that is a felony charge. So they arrest Ashley and they take her to jail. Now, let me ask you something. Does this look like the face of someone that's on meth? Does this look like someone that uses drugs? Now, keep in mind, this picture was taken right after she was arrested. Right after she had a belly full of SpaghettiOs. She just ate her lunch, guys. They took her picture. Does she look like she's on drugs? I mean, come on. Bear with me. The twist is coming. There will be a twist. It is coming very shortly. So Ashley's in jail, right? She's not in jail for too long. She gets out of jail. I guess she bonded out. But she has to return to court, and they order some drug rehabilitation courses for her, right? So she's got to show up to these classes, a drug class or whatever. But Ashley fails to show up. So very quickly after she's released from jail, she's rearrested for not showing up to the drug rehab courses. The whole time, Ashley is insisting that there's no drugs on the spoon. There's no drugs on the spoon. It's SpaghettiOs, guys. SpaghettiOs on the spoon. There's no drugs on the spoon. So eventually, as they, kick this down through evidence, they send it to a crime lab. The crime lab tests the spoon to see if there's drugs on it. And the crime lab comes up negative. There is no drugs of any sort on this spoon. No drugs on the spoon. Now, they did say, according to the police report, that it tested positive for meth in the field test. Once the crime lab tests come back, she is exonerated and they let her go. She's scot-free. This could have been a serious felony charge, but they let her go because the crime lab does extensive testing and there's no drugs on that spoon. Only they do confirm that there's SpaghettiO or spaghetti sauce of some sort on the spoon. So her story actually does line up, right? So she's let go. Now, the media grabs this story and they run with it. And here's the angle that the media takes with this story. The media says that these field tests that tested positive, they're not reliable because according to research, there's hundreds of different things that can cause these field tests to have a positive for drugs, result. And that's what they focus the story on. But there's a key detail that seems like they didn't even read the story. They don't even mention this. And this kind of just changes the entire story. So this is a pretty wild story because this lady is arrested for technically eating her lunch, eating SpaghettiOs. And you would think that the cops, they just made a big boo-boo, They got egg on their face. They made a huge mistake, right? Arrested for SpaghettiOs, right? But they never seem to mention that inside of the pink bag with Ashley's name on it, that has a black bag inside of it, and a spoon with SpaghettiO sauce on it, there's also a glass pipe. Now, they don't say what type of pipe it is, right? They don't say, this type of pipe or that type, but they arrested her for meth, so we're going to assume it was, one of those glass pipes they smoked that stuff out of, right? So let's dial back and think for a second. They pull him over for an expired tag. The driver and Ashley sitting in the back seat are acting really nervous. They decide to search the car. They got consent to search. They find a glass pipe with a spoon in the same bag as the glass pipe. Doesn't that change the entire dynamic of the story? Yes, she's arrested for SpaghettiOs, and that does make it a pretty funny story. But, think about it from the cops' point of view. They found a glass pipe. They found a spoon in the bag with the glass pipe. They tested it, and apparently it tested positive for meth. It kind of goes together, right? Doesn't that change the whole dynamic of the entire story? It's not just a lady was arrested for SpaghettiOs, but they found a glass pipe, right? And let's take a look at this beautiful mugshot one more time. Does she look like she might be doing that type of stuff? Imagine you're a cop and you find her in the back seat. I mean, maybe they jump to conclusions. But let's back up for a second. Where's the crystalline substance? Because according to my knowledge, I've ate a lot of cans of SpaghettiOs. And SpaghettiOs. I don't think there's any crystal substance that magically appears on there. Right? It's SpaghettiOs. It's spaghetti sauce. The only substance that you're going to find on some dried up spaghetti sauce is maybe some mold. And that mold is probably more potent than any meth you could smoke. But crystal substance, it sounds suspicious. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that part. Right? Did they test positive for meth? I did some research and apparently most of these field tests, there's a lot of stuff that can cause false positives, right? And if you want to, dig deeper, we're going to have to go ahead and add SpaghettiOs as one of the things that causes false positives for meth. Apparently there's some chemical structure similar SpaghettiOs and meth.